out the fight, yeah, bring on all the lightning. Cause I'm looking for a hero, look inside the mirror, I find one. Oh, carry the hurt when it gets too hard, pick it up, dust it off. When I fall down 11, I get up 12, don't need nobody else. Yeah, I can save myself.
Welcome back, Bold listeners. I'm Mackenzie Gosselin, your host of the Be Bold podcast. Today, I have the absolute pleasure of sitting with Natasha Spence, the WBA International Junior Middleweight Champ and the WBA Interim Middleweight Champ. What a mouthful. I love it. How are you today, Natasha?
I'm great. How are you?
Good, thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you. Thanks for being here with us. This is so cool. I'm like nervous to interview you because I just think you're so cool.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's just kind of dive into it. So Natasha Spence, but we've got Natasha Nightmare in there, right?
Yes.
So can you tell us right away where the nightmare came from?
Right to it, huh?
Right to it.
So I actually earned that nickname from one of my sparring partners a long time ago, maybe 15, 16 years ago or something like that. She said to my coach, she didn't want to know if she was sparring me the next day because she wouldn't be able to sleep, or she would get nightmares if she knew she had to spar me the next day. So she'd be like, just don't tell me. Just I don't want to know. So
she wanted to go in blind.
Basically, yeah. She wanted to make sure she got sleep that night. So I kind of stuck. I overheard her telling the story, and then my coach obviously started calling me Nightmare, and then everyone just started calling me Nightmare. So.
And you love it now. Like it was kind of just given to you though. You didn't get a pick.
Yeah.
That's so cool. Thanks for sharing that. That was one of my burning questions. So congratulations, by the way. I think that's in order. You were just in DC.
Thank you. Yeah.
How'd that go?
Oh man, it was amazing.
Yeah.
I had a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Finally starting
having fun
again. Yeah. So it was great. Yeah, it was a great experience.
I kind of want to dive into that, even you just saying finally, because I think being in sport and professional sports, when you make it professional, I think that's we start because we love it, and then we kind of start going, and sometimes we lose the love, right? Has that been part of your journey, like losing the love of the sport and kind of coming back now that you've gone professional, or?
No, I definitely never lost the love of it, but I went through a lot of highs and lows, and it just kind of was hard to stick to that focus and the plan. I did, but it became difficult along the way, just being in the gym constantly and not getting fights. I went almost 6 years without a fight, but I stayed in the gym the whole time, full time. If I don't fight, I don't make money, and this is what I do. So finding other avenues to make a living, and training clients, sponsors, 9-to-5s, anything I needed to do to still be able to stay in the gym to get to where I am right now. So that's why I say finally. It's finally the fun part for me is fighting. Yeah. And if I didn't have an opponent to fight, then I didn't get to fight, and that's what happened a lot. It's just hard to get opponents, and opponents falling through, fights getting COVID, fights getting canceled, stuff like that. So grinding behind the scenes for years and years and years without that like gratification of getting in the ring. So
when you say you can't find an opponent, can you explain a little bit to us? Like even myself, like I'm new in the boxing world specifically. Like I gotten in the ring for fun, but like you don't want to see that. That's a conversation for a different day. Yeah. But that's thanks to boomers, and we'll get into that a little bit too. It's kind of just, but the community part of it, but not professionally. So I've got lots of questions for you there, and I just want to understand, like looking for an opponent, not being able to fight, and not having somebody that can be your opponent means what? Is that a weight thing? Is that
no? That's a very good question. I guess just making a name for yourself, and the way that women's boxing has been in the past, or boxing in general, if you don't have the financial backing or the promotion or the management to put up more money, and you have a scary reputation, then girls are going to look at you, or fighters are going to look at you and be like, nah, maybe not her. How about that one over there? Let's bring in someone from overseas that is going to be an easier go for me. You know what I mean? So I just got overlooked a lot. In the beginning of my career, I had a lot of knockouts, and when I was fighting in the weight class I belong in, I was very dangerous. So I started my career off, and I made it difficult for myself without realizing, with most of my fights being won by knockout, and blowing girls out of the water in 1 or 2 rounds. And then it got to the point where it was like, these girls didn't want to get in there with me. They wanted her instead, or her instead, or an easier way. I don't know what it was. I didn't have the financial backing, and I got overlooked a lot. And then I actually ended up getting a promoter a couple years back, a local promoter, and he told me that in his 20 years of promoting, he's never had this much difficulty matching a fighter, male or female. And he's just like, we need to change your name to the Dream or something, because like he's like, this is crazy.
Everybody's having nightmares.
Yeah, this is crazy. So I don't know if it's a reputation thing or, I'm strong. I'm very strong. Anyone that I work with, the first thing they say is like, geez, you hit hard. Like, when I work with men, they're like, you hit harder than some of these guys here. So I don't know. But it's just, that's been the struggle, is getting someone to get in there with me, which is essentially why I ended up going up in weight class and fighting these monsters, these girls that are massive, because they're looking at me like, oh, she's tiny, right? So they're willing to get in there with me. So the last year I fought in, three weight classes above what I should have been, even 4 maybe. And I still went toe to toe with these girls. I gave them work. I dropped one of them who'd never been down ever before.
Wow.
So
and she wasn't expecting it, because she's
definitely
right
not,
thinking size.
not.
And yeah, you're like, absolutely, I dropped it. I love this.
Yeah. So.
That's so cool. That's so cool. So, like, is that a normal thing, or this is like unique to your story to fight up a weight class, right? Like, because can that be dangerous in terms of,
for sure.
like, they've got more weight to throw around, right?
For sure. It's not something you really see. You see it at the end of fighters' careers when they're not able to make the weight anymore. But for me, it was not that at all. Like, I'd have to put on weight. I'd have to eat more. The more you train, the fitter you get, the more weight you lose. So I had a hard time keeping my weight up. I'd set an alarm in the middle of the night and wake up and have a protein shake or a protein bar, or have, some chicken at 3 a.m. and go back to sleep, just to make sure I could keep the weight up. So it was never, for me, it was never an issue of, oh, I can't make the smaller weight classes anymore, let's just age out of them. It was, well, these girls are big enough to take me on, and they're saying, yes, I'm getting these calls. So yeah, let's do it.
Oh my gosh. So you're kind of willing to fight somebody bigger than you, stronger, like maybe not stronger. We'll figure that out in the ring. But,
exactly. I know, like I said, I know that I carry a lot of strength for my size, and my defense is really good. I'm hard to hit. So with those two elements, I don't know, somewhere along the line, I just became fearless. I have a lot of faith, and I know this is what I'm meant to do. And I'd rather be in there with Goliath than not get in there at all. So that's kind of what it came down to.
Yeah, and you mentioned faith there. Is faith a big thing for you in
for
your
sure,
career? And
100%. I don't think I'd be here sitting here talking to you right now. I know I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right now if I didn't find that along the way. It kept me grounded, and it kept my focus on the goal, which is being able to still do this and have fun with it.
Yeah, I love that. So it doesn't sound like you've lost some passion. I want to rephrase that from the beginning. There's no losing the love, but I just wanted to touch on the point, like, sometimes monetizing what you love in terms of entrepreneurship. And if you're an entrepreneur in that, right? Like, it's a business, what you're doing. It's a sport, but it's also a business, and it's finding what you're good at, what you love, and doing it to put food on the table too, right?
Exactly, yeah.
And not losing the love of it. So kudos to you, because I do think that that's important. And I would imagine that I know a little bit about Boomer's Boxing, which is your home gym, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So we were connected through Matt Boom, which he kind of gave me, he was the one that gave me that insider info about that you don't turn down a fight. He's like, she'll just fight anybody. So
yeah, it's his running joke. He's like, if Mike Tyson called you today,
you would do it?
You would fight him. And I was like, probably, like, because I'm just a little bit crazy, but yeah, sure, why not?
Aren't we all? Yeah. And you know what? We said that too in terms of just like entrepreneurs and business owners and people who do what they love for a living. You've got to be a little bit nuts. Like, you've got to be to start a business or follow your fire and not do what people tell you to do, or the 9 to 5 and burn your own trail, right? Like, it takes a certain level of crazy. And it sounds like would you experience that? I would imagine, especially getting in the ring and wanting someone to throw a punch at you also takes another level of,
Yeah, a little bit. For sure,
yeah. Do you remember your first fight? Do you, like, your first fight when you got in the ring? Do you remember that, like, your first fight that mattered for, like, not training and not for fun, but more of, like, your first competition?
Oh, for sure. Yeah. My first amateur fight. I'll never forget it. She was now that we talk about it, in hindsight, she was massive. Just big farm girl, like, just jacked. I think she did like bodybuilding or figure competitions or whatever as well. She was a lot older than me. I wasn't ready to fight yet. I wasn't in shape properly. It was this little chubby kid, and like.
How old were you? Do you remember? Like, what?
I would have been maybe 20. I started boxing when I was 19, so I was probably about 20. She was in her 30s maybe, and I shouldn't have been in there. But my coach said, yeah, sure, go ahead. And I was like, yeah, I can do this. And then I remember when I looked across the ring and saw her, I was like, shit. And it was too late too at that point. I'm like, well, I'm here, right? So it was rough. She stopped me, I think in the second round or something like that. And I just remember after the fight being like, that will never happen to me again, ever happen again. Like, I will make sure I'm ready, I'm in shape. I don't care how big she is. She's not touching me. She's not hurting me. I just remember emotionally and mentally how it felt. And I was like, never in my life will I allow myself to feel that again. So
you do remember it because it was almost like a driving force of like, I'm not gonna.
Yeah. And maybe that's where this like fearlessness comes from, of like the size. I don't know, because I remember standing across from her and being like, she's big, she's gonna hurt me. And she did, she hurt me, but it was more mental and emotional. You know, the physical part I got over. The mental and emotional took me a while to get over, and it kind of put that fire in me.
Yeah.
So.
And one of my questions for you, like I just wanted to ask, because I'm curious, and I'm sure lots of other people are curious about it, like fear of failure for you, because you do have these belts back here and these titles that like you have to defend, right? Or you have to, so fear of failure. And I know that we're like, you sound very fearless and you are very fearless, but do you have moments where you're like scared to get in the ring, or you've got doubt, or you're just scared to fail? And how do you kind of navigate that?
I mean, I think it depends on your definition of failure.
Yeah. I love that
For
answer.
me, I don't consider a loss failure at all, or else I would not be here. You know, I lost every fight pretty much last year, I believe. But to me, it was kind of my maneuver of staying in the game and getting in the ring and gaining experience and staying relevant to get me that offer that allowed me to do this. You know what I mean? If I didn't get in the ring with those girls then, who were bigger, maybe stronger and better records and all of that stuff, if I said no to those calls, I wouldn't have gotten the offer to, you know, kind of steal the show. Both of these, I was considered the underdog, and both of them I was supposed to lose. But these were girls that were more my size, and me and my team knew what we were looking at. You know, if you don't know boxing or you don't really follow it closely, you look at the records and you look at my, you know, last year of fighting, and you're like, this girl's not going to win. Yeah. But if you really know what you're looking at, if you look through the records of the girls I fought last year and their size, their, you know, their capabilities, their skills, all of that, the fact that they didn't knock me out is crazy. And I stood toe to toe, and there's a couple of those fights where people are like, no, you won those fights. If you watch, but at the end of the day, define failure.
Yeah, you started with that and you circled back to it, and I think that's a great answer. I love that, and it's a lesson isn't a fail. Like if you lose but you learn something, did you really lose?
Exactly.
Kind of concept, so.
To me, failure is giving up, and I will not. And I've shown that, you know. Yeah. I'll just keep doing it. I love it, and it fuels me, and it drives me. So.
Yeah, and talking about like it fuels you. I know that you're like active at Boomers, and Boomers has kind of all different ages, and it's amateur at start. It's just some as a hobby, more pro. It's kind of just a nice gym that supports local and goes. So I mean I know I'm diving in, but I know through your social media and stuff that you do kind of give back, and you do coach some of the younger guys coming up and help them and be present there. And I think that's big, especially when you go pro, to be able to kind of still show face and be part of like the makeup of the gym too.
For sure.
So tell me a little bit about like Boomers, why Boomers? And what it kind of means to you to practice there.
Boomers has always felt like home to me. The original Boomers, when Lawrence was still alive, like he took me in, and I remember I used to always call it my home away from home. Yeah. And for a while I was commuting, and then he was like, you know, stay with me. Like he lived above the gym, him and his wife, and they had an extra room, and he was like, why are you driving back and forth? He's like, just stay. Like, and I said to him, like, I have clients at home, you know, I've got to go home and make some money, because at the time, if I'm not fighting, like I said, I don't make money, right? So I remember the one day he told me to come over, and he put some money in my hand, and he goes, put this in your pocket. And he's like, you're going to stay here. If you want to do this properly, you know, you can sleep upstairs. He's like, Veronica will cook you food, and you go down, you train, you come up, and you just, you know, this is the way that an athlete is supposed to do it. Right. So I stayed in the gym for a little while. And it was just always my home away from home. You know, and then, Lawrence passed away. There was no Boomers for a little bit. And, you know, then there was kind of like the resurrection of Boomers 2.0 and, you know, Matt Boom and, you know, my great coaches, you know, Mark, Tanner, Abdul. They kind of, I think there's a couple other guys that are in the mix of that too. Yeah. So I apologize for missing any names, but there was that, you know, the resurgence of Boomers. And I always knew that that's where I belonged. Boomers has this, like, I call it strong tribe. It's this massive community of like a driving force behind you that I've never had in my entire career. You know, I've kind of bounced around and I've trained everywhere, and I've always had loyal coaches and the love of like specific people or small groups in a gym, but I've never once ever had the whole entire gym, the whole community, like all these coaches that bring something different to the table. You know, the fighters that look up to you, and that energy is so positive, and it comes from everyone in that facility. So that's new for me for sure. And I'm just super blessed.
You can tell how like grateful you are for it, and you can tell that
blessed.
you know that it like takes a village kind of thing. Like you use the word tribe, but I'm saying like it just takes a lot of people, and especially in what you do, like you said, like getting funding is hard, and like you want to do it for the love of the sport, but it also does take money, like you know. And so to find people who like believe in you and want to support you, and Lawrence like come eat here, come be here, like that's family, right? Like it almost sounds like it's family instead of just business too, right? So I think that like that's so cool, right? And for anybody that hasn't been to the gym I've been, it feels like that when you walk in. They like,
for sure,
I'm not very familiar with the boxing world specifically, but they've welcomed, like they'll just get in the ring, do what you need to do, and fight to end too. Fight to end homelessness was big.
Huge,
that's how I got connected with the gym, but they give back, and I think that that's the cool piece, and it sounds like that's important to you too, of helping somebody through. So do you work with some of the younger like guys getting started, girls getting started? And
like I help out when I can. I do have a couple that I work with specifically that have kind of been with me. I have a kid that I'm working with. He just turned 12, and he's been with me a couple years, and his family, they drive from Elmira, and he's part of Boomer's family now, because when I made the move, I moved here in April from Cambridge. They stuck with me. So they were driving from Elmira to Cambridge to train with me, and now they drive from Elmira to Boomers. You know, little Liam, he's going to be a world champion for sure. Everyone calls him Little Nightmare. He's like a mini version of me.
That's cool.
And you know, some of the younger fighters too, like I can tell that they look up to me, and I know that's an amazing feeling. And you know, they'll ask me for pointers or for help and stuff like that. I just try to be present in the gym. Sparring days are the best days, and when I shout at whoever's in the ring, they listen, and you know what I mean, stuff like that. So it's an awesome feeling.
Did you have anybody that you looked up to, like another pro boxer who was your kind of like, what got you into boxing? Like, was there an inspo or?
I've just always loved it. And I fought a lot as a kid. I got in trouble as a kid. I was a strong, you know, kind of aggressive little ball of ADHD and confusion. So like I have an older brother, and you know, I grew up kind of wrestling with him, and I think that's where I get my strength from. I'd see like boxing on the TV, and I remember like as a kid, I'd like put my arms in the air, or I'd like go to the bathroom and like in the mirror, I'd like pretend to shadow box and act like I knew what I was doing. And I used to always tell people that I boxed in like middle school and junior high and stuff, and I didn't, but I would just say I did, right? And like I would shadow box, and I was just it was in me for some reason. It was just in me.
Yeah.
And then I didn't actually put on a pair of gloves and step into a boxing club until I was 19 years old.
Wow. And it's 19? Is that older, younger, when people start their career?
Definitely older for boxing, yeah. I've just been blessed with good defense and good genetics, I guess, because like I don't get hit a lot, so like my shelf life is not where it should be at 40 years old. A lot of kids start boxing when they're like, you know, 10, stuff like that. So for me at 19, I did it properly, and I rest properly. I never partied, drank, drugs, none of that stuff. It was always gym and sleep. So. And
it probably, like I would imagine, gave you a lot of discipline though at 19, right? Because 19 is prime drinking, partying, and getting into all the trouble. Yeah. And if you had, you know, you were hyperactive as a child, like 19, do you feel that it kind of kept you on the straight and narrow? Like it gave you more discipline?
100% kept me. I mean, it kept me alive and out of jail. Yeah. You know, like when you're starting to become an adult, and you know, you get your kicks out of that kind of excitement of just doing things that aren't necessarily things you should be doing, fighting and being aggressive and stuff like that. So it kept me, as soon as I learned how to fight, I stopped throwing hands anywhere else. And like my coach made it very clear, if you get in a fight outside of this ring, you're gone. Yeah. So I made sure that, you know, it never happened. And it kept me alive.
And the boundaries of the sport, right? Because you are learning or teaching someone how to throw a punch and how to, you know, get aggressive and give it. So I think it's important, right, to keep it in the gym and teach people that this isn't, you know, it's an outlet for you to channel, and it's a safe one, and it's not something to be, you know, we're not going to create a pro in the gym and send them out on the street.
Exactly. I think that somewhere along the way, quite early where you realize how dangerous your hands are.
Yeah,
And I
wow.
think having that realization, I didn't really need to prove anything anymore. You know what I mean? Like, it was like I would laugh at people trying to pick fights with me, and then people find out you box and they want to pick fights with you. And to me, it was just funny, like, because I'm like, not to be like cocky or conceited or anything, but when you understand what your hands can do, especially bare knuckle, especially someone that's drunk, kind of, you know, just
Trying to pick a
acting
fight or just
stupid.
being
Yeah,
stupid.
it's just it's laughable at that point, and there's no you've got nothing to prove.
So you have had that then, like
for
you've
sure.
gotten where
Still
they're
today.
just trying to prove a point, and God, even
Yeah.
that you're gonna do that, like you've already lost the battle there.
Exactly.
I don't need to prove it.
Exactly.
That's awesome. That's awesome. I kind of want to dive into you just about, because we are on the Be Bold podcast about it's giving back to the community, but it's really about the womanhood in it too, and what that means to people, and it looks different, right? It's completely different for everybody. But boxing is a male-dominated sport for the most part. What's it been like from like a woman's perspective for you? Like,
That's a very big question.
it is a big question, and feel free to kind of answer it how you.
It's definitely changed. I'm grateful for that. You know, when I first walked into the gym, I was the only female in the gym.
Yeah.
And so I sparred with guys, trained with guys, got beat up by guys. Maybe that's why I'm so tough too. I mean, like, you know, it was just one of those things where if this is where you want to be, this is what you got to do. And then some years passed, and other females joined, and it kind of felt. It changed it for me, but I also always felt like one of the guys because of how strong I am.
Yeah.
So, you know, I always call myself a hybrid. Like, I'm right in the middle. Like, I'm strong enough to hang with the guys, but I'm not tough enough to take what they can give. You know, I'm built differently. Like, my bone structure is different.
Yeah.
You know, my just strength wise, like, I might be able to punch a male the way another male can punch him, but I can't take his punch, right? So, but then with females, like, I can take everything they got, but I can't give them everything I have because I'm a little bit too strong for them. So I've kind of always just been in the middle of like the guys and the girls. So for me, it's a different experience. I feel like in terms of training aspects. Fighting and you know, pay structure and all that, it's very behind. Women don't get the recognition, the airtime, or the pay that we deserve, or that even close to what the men do. It's getting better, but it's still way
got a
far
long way to
behind.
go. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that you're doing that, and like, as much as it's tough when you get to the pro, like, you're so humble, right? So you're not going to toot your own horn, but I'll toot it for you here. Just like, I think like you are doing that, and that's why I'm so happy that you're here chatting with me today. And like, I'm blessed to have you here, because I think we need that representation. We need people who are like, okay, but I'm going to pave the way, because it's daunting when you walk into a gym. I mean, I would imagine, and it's all men, or it's all whatever, and you know you can do it, and you've got it in you, but it's also like it is a little bit different, and it's acknowledging that, and it's not inferior though, right?
No,
like,
definitely not.
You know, you find what makes it better, where your little niche is, and what you know. So kudos to you on that. But that kind of brings me into another question of just like body image and weight loss, gaining, losing, and all that. I know we chatted kind of when we were sitting down getting comfortable for the episode, but you do have to regulate your weight often for a fight. It's one of your, what qualifies you, correct? Is weight. So how does that kind of mold for you? Like, has that been a challenge? Is it something that like you're probably more comfortable doing it now?
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. I'm way more comfortable now, and because of me having to fight heavier, and most of the time with fighters you have to cut weight, so you're always, you know, watching that scale and making sure it doesn't go too high. Well, for me, for the last little while, it's like, how do I get more food in me and make sure that number doesn't go too low? So it's almost like been the opposite, which is hard as well, because I'm used to looking a certain way and feeling a certain way when I'm in shape for a fight. So, you know, the last year or so, you know, I'm looking in the mirror and I don't have a six pack, and I'm like, I remember complaining to
That's me every day. Shit. At least you have it some days.
I remember complaining to my coach that like aesthetically I didn't feel good, and he like, I thought he was gonna slap me. He's like, "Are aesthetics gonna win you the damn fight?"
Yeah, I see.
And I was like, "Oh, touche. Yeah, you're
But
right."
but
right?
but that's
like,
what we're doing here, is talking about that, because sport and whatever, like, and society tells us we should look a certain way, and even our own brains tell us we should look a certain way, right? Like, you do start to do it. You know, I looked this way when I was at my peak. So now what, right?
It was almost confusing, like being like, well, maybe I'm not ready then, right? Like, and I would start to doubt that. Meanwhile, I'm like, I'm in better shape now than I was, you know, 7 years ago, and because I don't have a six pack maybe in the V, my mind is telling me like, you didn't do enough, but I'm stronger, faster, better than I was then, right? So it was kind of that was a hump I had to recently get over. I'm over it now, but it took a little bit. I think the struggle with that number originally for me was that getting so low that I felt too small. I think a lot of fighters struggle with that, where you have to cut so much weight that, you're so skinny and you're so small, or you're worried about what the number says. So you maybe don't eat when you should eat, like stuff like that. Like I struggled early on in my career with sometimes not eating, or sometimes I'd eat and I wouldn't swallow the food. I'd spit it out. And these are like borderline eating disorder habits and stuff like that that I definitely struggled with. And I didn't need to. I think it was more of it just not having the education, not having the proper knowledge of nutrition and stuff like that, because now I eat more and I lose weight. I eat more protein and I
looking
exactly.
at it as fuel, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So it's just not knowing then. So it's been a journey.
Yeah, well, thank you for sharing that, because I think that's important, especially like just in general life, it's important, right?
Yeah,
I think a lot of people struggle with food, weight, all of
Yeah.
it, but then you add sports and the pressure of the sport and
Yeah.
the performance to it, right? They go hand in hand, and it's important to like still take care of yourself, right?
Exactly, properly.
Properly.
Yeah.
And do you feel like you have time to recharge, and what does that look like for you, removing the boxing, like just kind of taking care of your body? And
I do now. I think, before moving to London, it was quite the grind. I'd have the commute on top of clients at home, and training full time, but also trying to make enough money to make ends meet. So it was a lot of driving, a lot of hustle and bustle. But now, I live walking distance from the gym, and with the tribe and community I have behind me, I don't go without. And if there is a time where I need anything at all, like I just pick up the phone and I know that they've got me, right? Yeah. So now I'm able to actually rest, relax, recoup. I've got RMTs on hand. I've got everything I need. I kind of just have what I need to be able to recover and then do my job better the next day. So I'm super, super blessed because of that. Sure.
And so, like, what would you say to somebody who's thinking of starting and getting into boxing or any sport really, but wants to kind of branch out? They don't know, maybe don't have the funding, or they don't have the backing quite yet, because that's how you started. It wasn't quite there. You had people who wanted to lend a helping hand, but you didn't have the full team that we know it kind of takes sometimes to get to a pro level.
Yeah.
What would you tell that person? Like, where do you start?
I think listening to your gut is huge. I think I went through a lot of years of like kind of bouncing around and doing certain things, or staying loyal to certain people, or whatever it may be, where it just wasn't a fit. What they brought to the table was what they knew and what I thought I needed, but stuff was missing. I had a lot of coaches along the way that were amazing coaches, and I'm so grateful for what they brought to the table. But there was elements of that full, like I said, tribe or community that was missing, whether it was the gym setting or, do you know what I mean? Like there was just stuff that was missing, where it takes more than just you and a coach. So for the longest time, I thought I just needed a good coach, and it was just me and my coach, and we could take over the world. It takes so much more, and I didn't realize until Boomers that, holy crap, like you do need a whole community behind you. Just listen to your intuition. If something doesn't feel like it's a fit, keep it moving. You don't owe anyone but yourself anything. And hustle. I would get shirts made, and I'd sell shirts, and that's how I would fund a lot of this for a lot of years. Going back to Matt Boom, and Vinyl Destination was like my biggest sponsor for the longest time. I remember driving to London and setting up shop with him at Vinyl Destination, and he would teach me how to like weed the vinyl, and like he'd be on the computer doing the shirts. And
you worked there.
I didn't know that. That's cool. I didn't really work there, but I would hustle. He would. I'd go there to pick up some shirts, and he'd be like, have a seat, and I'd at the end of the day did a full day of helping him press the shirts, because he was donating that to my cause, right? So getting my hands dirty with him, and then I would just hustle those shirts and sell them, and that's how I would fund what I was trying to do. So
speaking of, Matt Boom also gave me a little insider info here, so I'm gonna ask the question unrelated, but it was actually about style, now that you brought it up, and I see the Disney shirt that's ripped and pinned here underneath. So I said right off the bat, like, she's got the coolest style. So I was like, I don't even know what I'm gonna wear. I went denim on denim. Don't ask. But I think it's super cool that you represent yourself, and like my background's branding, so I always always look at like the branding side, but I just think you represent yourself so kick-ass, and I think it's super cool, and you're so uniquely you. So that's been like where I've been kind of drawn and wanted to have you on here. But insider info about the shirts, is this something you just started? Like, because you customize and do your own. You take a t-shirt, throw some paint at it, give it some rips.
I had this shirt. It said Disney on it, plain black shirt, and I never wore it. So I was like, one day I just took a razor to it. I wore it a bit, and then I was like, let me see what some bleach will do. Let me see what some paint will do. Let me see what some pins will do. And then now I'm like, okay, yeah, no, I like it.
It's kind of become your thing, it sounds like.
It's an outlet for me. Like I have a very overactive brain. And I like to be creative. So sometimes I just get in these like moods where it's just like design, create. And see what happens with it.
And I think the overactive brain is part of where you can make a business and a career out of this too, because it's an outlet. You found it, and now you're giving it a go. Like me, my backstory is I was always too much or too bold. Like, and that was kind of like shit. Like that's what makes me. I'm gonna find something that we found our own, and that's what's common about everybody that's kind of coming on to Be Bold is like my mission and my movement's different than yours, but we're following what makes us us, and we're going for it and helping each other and supporting each other while we do it. So I think it's so cool. But I'm going to have to get you a Be Bold hoodie or a Be Bold sweater, and we're going to let you just like rip it apart. Nobody else is allowed to do this, but you're allowed to rip it apart, throw some paint at it, whatever you need to do. And then we're going to get a selfie up and post it or something. And I want to see what she come up with the shirt, if that's cool.
For sure. I can't wait. It's
awesome.
gonna be fire.
Well, thank you so much for coming. I'm so happy that you came and sat with us and chatted. And I think you're an inspiration to so many, and myself included. So
thank you so much for having me.
What is next for you? I guess I should ask that question because I don't think we're done, right? Like
no,
you've got some.
Not.
Yeah.
Just the beginning. We'll see. Back in the gym, just get in shape and wait for the phone to ring.
Yeah.
Been talking to Roy a lot. He's got big plans, and I just do my part, get ready, be in shape, and then just answer the call when it comes. That's
I'm so excited for you. Well, I'll be watching. So
thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much. So everybody, thank you for watching Natasha Spence. We'll get that picture of that shirt up, but for now, follow along, and we can't wait to see you on the next episode.